Okay, so during the fall at home, during the fall, typically bear action would pick up around around my house and my neighbor's houses, the farms, and these dumbass bears would really be on a mission to get as much food as they could later in the fall, and they're hitting everybody's fruit, leftover vegetable crops in the backyard, fruit trees, and they're really running amok. So, and they're a bit of a pain in the ass. So this one particular time, you know, I never ever left any garbage out. The odd time, I'd leave a bag of horse feed unopened on the front porch, just bought it, threw it on the porch, gonna go stick it in the barn later, whatever. Boom, somebody come up on the porch and grab it, or they would come to lick the barbecue off, or what have you. So this one particular night, I'm in bed, and actually I was just home from a stone sheep hunt. I had a big, nice full curl ram horns hanging up in the rafters of the ceiling for the time being, like basically just got home. And I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden I hear this outside the bedroom window. And there's a bear coming on the porch. I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. So I used to, for many, many years, I would always shoot a bare bow, which meant with no sights and fingers. And because I'm left eye dominant, but I'm right-handed, so I'm a little oddballish that way. And I started shooting a bow that way when I was a kid, and I shot that way for years, and I was pretty good at it. Until later on in life, I received a bow for a tip from a PSC rep during a TV show, and it was just too short of a bow, pinches your fingers too much, and I finally caved in and I switched over to a release. But anyway, I used to have this older, longer compound bow, and if I ever had a problem bear in the yard, I'd get one of my arrows and I'd unscrew the tip off of it, and then I'd go out and drill the bear in the head or the ass or whatever and scare the crap out of them and get them out of the yard. And they normally wouldn't come back after you did that to them. So this one particular night, here's this bear. He's coming down the porch. So I'm in my underwear. I get out, I open up the front door, step out in front of him, scare him away. I'm shooing, I'm yelling at him, and he's a big bear. And he just keeps on looking at me, doesn't even pause, and he's still walking straight towards me. And we're talking 20 feet away from me. I'm like, oh, really? So I closed the door, I went back inside, got my bow, and I got the arrow. And I went out and I went back out on the porch, and he's right there. I mean, he is right there, probably, what is that? Yeah, he's probably 10 feet, 12 feet from me. And I had the tip was already unscrewed up the aluminum shaft. Anyways, I drew back, instinctively aimed at him, and I drilled him perfectly square, right square in, I think, was the front teeth, but his lip, because his head took the full impact of that arrow. It didn't glance off of him. It went, bam, drilled him square in the face, and it dropped onto the porch underneath his chin. Like, it didn't glance off or anything. You imagine what that must have felt like? So anyway, he spins around, goes ripping down the porch, and straight up this big tree that was right outside my bedroom window in the front yard. So I'm like, okay, you prick. I wanted to make him think that he just made the biggest mistake of his life, and he just went to the house, the home of the biggest, tallest, meanest monster that ever lived. So he's up the tree. So I went and got a headlamp, put the headlamp on, grabbed that arrow, and I'm standing under the tree, and I'm shooting him. I'm shooting him in the ass. I'm shooting him again. And the arrow would fall down into the garden. I'd pick up the arrow, put it on there, and I drew back, and I'd drill him again. And I shot him 3 or 4 times, and he's bawling his eyes out. Oh, oh! You know, he was absolutely stressed, absolutely shitting himself, which I wanted. I wanted him terrified. I wanted him to think that the biggest, baddest monster was so huge, I was actually biting him in the ass while standing on the ground. You know, who knows what the bear's thinking, but that's just my way of thinking. I'm thinking I'm absolutely violating this bear. He made a huge mistake. He wants to leave. He promises he'll never come back to my house ever again. And that's what I'm after. So I must have shot him about 6 times. And then I picked up my arrow, the bow, and I went in the house. So I'm like, okay, he's probably going to be up in that tree for a while. So I go back inside, go to bed, and shit, this over there. Okay, so anyway. So anyways, I go back to bed, I'm laying in bed, and then meanwhile this thing is like 12 feet basically from my bedroom window and up the tree. And I wasn't in bed for probably 5 minutes, and all I could hear the bark flying and this prick starting to shinny down the tree again. And I'm like, no, if you think it's safe enough to come down from that tree within 5 minutes, you're not scared enough. So I get up, I run back out, run down the porch, yelled at him, I scared him straight back up the tree again. And then I went in the house and I got my bow, got my headlamp on, I'm in my underwear, and I get under the tree, and I draw back, and I'm just drilling him in the ass with this bow. And he's trying to get up, I draw back, I aim, and whap! I drill him in the ass again, and he starts screaming his head off. And then I go to get the arrow again, because the arrow he's taking the full impact, the full energy of the arrow, and the arrow's just dropping straight down on the guard in front of me. And then I go forward, bend over, pick up the arrow, and this huge frickin' wall curtain of bear urine comes down and frickin' drenches me. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. It was so, you're just like this. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Oh. And the smell of the bear urine was absolutely unbelievable. Like it was, you could have went into your worst nightclub boys' bathroom where people are peeing all over the frickin' place, and the scent would not even come close to what the scent is from black bear urine. It was absolutely freaking disgusting. So anyways, there you go. I got pissed on in my underwear by a bear. If you know anybody else that can say that, well, maybe you should get them on YouTube and tell them the story, because I'm sure it'll be a bit of a I'm sure it's not so much of a common occurrence. I'm sure you don't know or have heard of anybody else that's been pissed on by a bear while they're in their underwear in the middle of the night, but it happened to me. It's not that much of a fond memory, but I'm sure it'll make some of you guys laugh, and it's kind of a funny story, so what the hell, I shared it. So now that you can understand how often it was that I had probably removed the arrowhead off of my arrow and whapped a black bear in the ass to chase him out of my yard, it's not really that much of a big deal, right? I've done it so many times, it's stupid, but it's very effective. So fast forward, or backward, whenever it was, here's another story, unrelated, but a weird story. This is a weird one, but it has something to do with the, shooting a bear in the ass with the arrow with a tip on it. So fast forward a few years, and now I have a different bow, a very modern bow, and at the time it was one of the fastest bows available on the market. And it was the first PSE X-Force, and it was given to me. It wasn't even available on the shelf to public yet when I got one. One of the PSE reps, Rocky Drake, had one, and he came with us for a moose hunt, got him a record book bow with it, and he gave me the bow as a tip, and I took it home. So I started hunting with that bow, and I still have it today. We're talking probably 7 years later, and yeah, I still shoot it. I mean, why not? It puts the arrow exactly where I want it. And that's about all I needed to do. So it's very comfortable. It's short, and I can actually put it in a day pack and make it disappear and pack on my back, which is great, especially for horseback. But anyway, get on to the story. So I'm not too far away from where I trapped wolves previously, and it's spring bear season, and I'm bow hunting for bears farther up the valley from where I live. And this mediocre bear was coming down the trail, basically not too far from the main logging road, and he had a little bit of attitude on him, and I didn't want to kill him. So I unscrewed the tip off the arrow, and I kind of spooked him a little bit to make him turn broadside, because he wasn't really giving me too much respect. He just kind of sort of went broadside, and I drew my bow back with the tip unscrewed, and I wanted to, teach him a lesson, make sure I bit him from this far away, and made sure that he knew that I was a badass, and I might be fatal trouble if he wants to push this issue. So I went to drill him in the ass with the arrow, and me not being that familiar with the modern bows, the time and the power, and as part of the smaller diameter carbon arrow, I drilled him in the ass with it, but the frickin' arrow stuck in his ass. I'm like, oh shit, oops, and he went taking off in the forest and up the mountain. Now obviously it's not a fatal shot. I'm sure the arrow obviously it's not a fatal wound. The arrow probably just pushed through his skin, if anything. It was a blunt arrow, and there was, the majority of the shaft was hanging out of him when he took off, but it stayed in him as he went running into the bush. And I went in there a little bit, looked for the arrow, didn't find it. And lesson learned. And since then, actually, take a side note, if you take a discharged 243 shell casing, a 243 shell fits right over top of the arrow perfectly, and a little bit of electrician's tape, and that's what I've used on numerous bears since, and it worked great. But anyway, getting back to the story, it was later on that winter, and it would have been January or February, and I'm up on the side of that same mountain, probably about a mile away from where I had previously shot that bear in the ass in the spring, okay? Take note. Up like this, a mile away from this particular spot. It's up a deactivated logging road, and I am going up there on my snow machine. I'm the only one. Nobody goes up there, no one. And I'm going up this deactivated road on my snow machine. I'm on top of probably 4 to 6 feet of snow, and I come around the bend, and here is the arrow that I had shot that bear in the ass with last spring, and it's sticking perfectly straight up and down out of the snow on the side of the road, and there isn't one track anywhere. There's nothing. And probably about 3/4 of that arrow shaft was sticking out of the snow. Okay? What do you say? What do I even add to that? I mean, it was absolutely, it was just one of those what moments. I'm sitting there on my snowmobile. It's my arrow. I know my arrows. I usually make my own arrows, and I make them all the same. All the fletches the exact same color, and it's my arrow. It's the same arrow I shot that bear in the ass with, and there wasn't any tip on it, and that thing was sticking straight up and down out of the snow, about 3/4 of the shaft, in what would have been probably anywhere between 4 and 6 feet of snow deep, and not a print around it. Nothing. Not a snowmobile track, not a snowshoe track, not a cross-country ski track, nothing. And there is my arrow sticking out of the snow. Make of it what you want. I don't know. What do you even say? What do we even say to that? What do you say to that? I haven't a frickin' clue. I haven't a clue how my arrow ended up there, who stuck it up and down out of the snow. Why would anybody find an arrow in the middle of nowhere like that and not take it home, but instead stick it? I don't know. I haven't a clue. Who knows? But that is my honest recollection and account of time where I irresponsibly, I'll admit it, shot a black bear in the ass, fairly close, with a high power bow without a tip on it. I shouldn't have. It stuck him. It stuck in his ass. He took off with the arrow. Obviously, it's not going to kill him. It's going to hurt. And I would have been June, May. It's probably May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. We're talking 9 or 10 months later. My arrow is sticking straight up and down like it was put there on purpose for me out of the snow about a mile away without a print around it on top of about 4 to 6 feet of snow. It's a mystery. Go figure. I don't know. I don't have the answer. But there's a goofy print.